Today, we're going to break down one of the most important things any business does, how they find and hire the right people. Think of it as a journey, one that every single company has to take. And believe me, getting it right can be the difference between sinking and swimming.
So let's kick things off with a big picture question. Just think about everything a company does. All the marketing, the R&D, the strategy. What do you think is the single most important decision they ever have to make? You know what? The answer is actually incredibly simple. It's hiring the right people. That's it. Every success, every cool new product, every single win, it's all powered by the team. Getting this one decision right is the bedrock that everything else is built on. All right, so here's our game plan for today. First, we'll dig into why this matters so much. Then we'll get into the two main acts, recruitment and selection. After that, we got to talk about the rules of the game, the ethics and the law. And finally, we'll wrap it all up by looking at how you actually build a winning team. So really, why is hiring such a big deal? Well, because recruitment and selection are how a company builds its human capital. That's just a fancy way of saying the combined skills, smarts, and experience of its people. This isn't just about filling an empty chair. It's a massive strategic investment in the company's future. And when you get it right, it creates this amazing ripple effect. Your whole workforce gets better. When people are happy and good at their jobs, they stick around, which saves a ton of money. You bring in the exact skills you need to grow, and here's the best part, you start building a reputation as an awesome place to work. That makes it even easier to attract the best people next time. Okay, let's make this real. We're going to follow a fictional company. We'll call them Innovate Inc. The first thing they have to do is recruitment. And you can think of this as casting a really wide net, trying to bring in a great pool of people who might be a good fit. Now, this is a super important point. Recruitment and selection sound similar, but they are polar opposites. Recruitment is a positive process. The whole goal is to encourage people and build the biggest, most qualified group of applicants you can. Selection? That's a negative process. Its entire purpose is to weed people out, to filter that big group down until only the best person is left standing. So, Innovate Inc. has two main places to fish for talent. They can look internally, promote someone who already gets the company culture, or they can look externally to bring in fresh blood and new ideas. It's often a trade-off between someone who fits the culture and someone who brings in brand new skills. A really smart company, of course, does a little bit of both. And check this out. The method you use totally depends on your goal. If you want someone who's going to be a perfect cultural fit, you can't beat employee referrals. But if you just need to get the word out to as many people as possible, job boards are your best bet. And for finding that next generation of talent, well, that's what campus fairs are for. All right, Innovate Inc. has cast its net, and the applications are pouring in. Now the hard part starts. This is selection. The game is no longer about getting a lot of people. It's about finding that one perfect person. And wow, what a haul! Let's say Innovate Inc.'s recruitment was a massive success. They've got 250 applications for just one open position. This right here is the top of our selection funnel. Which brings us right back to that definition. Selection is all about elimination. The challenge now is to create a process that's fair and smart, a system that can take these 250 people and figure out which one person gets the job offer. And it is absolutely a journey. It all starts with screening the applications just to see who meets the basic requirements. Then maybe a quick phone interview to gauge interest. After that, it's time for some real testing to see what they can actually do. The few who make it through get a deep dive final interview, and then of course, reference checks to make sure everything adds up. It's only after all those hurdles that the final decision gets made. And there it is. From a huge pool of 250 applicants, through all those rigorous steps, we land on our one new hire. That is the selection funnel working perfectly. So why do we go through all this trouble? Well, it's to avoid two massive, and I mean massive, hiring mistakes. The first one is a false positive. That's when you hire the wrong person. It's super costly. But maybe even worse is the false negative. That's when you reject the right person and basically send amazing talent straight into the arms of your competition. So to dodge those bullets, companies have a whole toolkit they can use. Structured interviews are really common because they're fair. You ask everyone the same exact questions. Behavioral interviews are also huge. They're based on the idea that how you behaved in the past predicts how you'll behave in the future. So you get questions like, tell me about a time when. And finally, things like psychometric tests can add some hard data to the mix.
Now, here's a really important thing to remember. This entire journey, from that first job ad to the final handshake, doesn't happen in a bubble. It's surrounded by some very strict rules, both ethical and legal. Let's talk about the rules of the hiring game.
At its core, it's all about playing fair. That means you have to actively fight against bias and discrimination. It means you can't just hire your cousin because they're your cousin. You have to be open about how the process works, and you absolutely must protect every applicant's private information. These are the guardrails that keep the whole thing honest. And these ethical ideas are backed up by the force of law. For instance, equal employment opportunity laws make discrimination illegal. The Americans with Disabilities Act ensures that companies make reasonable accommodations for candidates who need them. These are not suggestions, folks. They are serious legal requirements.
Phew, okay. So we've traveled the whole road, from recruitment through selection and all the rules along the way. Let's bring it all home and talk about the big takeaway, both for our friends at Innovate Inc. and for you. When you really boil it all down, it comes back to this one central idea: a well-designed, fair, and strategic hiring process. It's not just HR paperwork. It is the absolute foundation of a company's most valuable asset, its people. And that makes it the single biggest key to long-term success.
And so that leaves me with a final question for you to think about. Whether you're hiring people or you're the one looking for a job, think about this journey. How can you play your part to make the process better, to make sure that we're always attracting and selecting the absolute best?
And that's our look at the hiring journey.
Hey, if you found this breakdown helpful, do me a favor and hit that like button. And be sure to subscribe for more explainers on the topics that matter. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll see you on the next one.